We've all seen the crazy viral Sora generation, but no one's really talking about how this affects business, social, or should I say interest media, and the AI landscape. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, let me show you why this matters. So Sora's been out for a little while now, and the initial hype has died down a bit. That's mainly because Nano Banana 2 has come along, and the rate of AI change just means that for any given week, there'll be a new shiny toy to be playing with. Now, we've all seen the crazy realistic generations of maybe Donald Trump or some dog in the backyard and seen how good this video model actually is. But the more I look into it, the more I think this is actually much more interesting than just another amazing video model. Underneath the hood is doing something really interesting surrounding IP. And I believe it gives you a great glimpse into what the future landscape of social, or shall I say interest media, and how brands and personalities could actually capitalize on this. So Sora 2 is a new video model from OpenAI. And alongside Sora 2, they released an app with Sora 2. For me, what's more interesting than just the video model is the app itself. So Sora 2 is trained on pretty much everything. So from everyday objects to things like Batman and for IP in the film and character world. So what OpenAI did originally was that they said everyone had to opt out of having their IP used within the app. Unsurprisingly, this caused a lot of backlash from a lot of people, and they quickly did a U-turn and said instead of having to opt out if you want your IP used, people decided if they wanted to opt in instead. So like I said, it's already trained on pretty much everything there is, but this was just a matter of having some guardrails and some permissions, or shall I say some filters, for when users are trying to generate video. On the other side, you've got Ed Olbrich and the team at Moon Valley, and they've taken a totally different approach. Their approach is basically the opposite. Their model isn't trained on any IP at all. So if you ask their model to create a Batman or create a Superman, it just wouldn't know where to start on it because it wasn't trained on it in the first place. Which is very different to what OpenAI's view on this is. OpenAI was trained on tons of different data, and then they said, if you want to opt in, you can. And that therefore puts the guardrails up. The problem with that is that there might be some sort of loopholes in the generation. So if you're just typing away and you're wanting to generate some sort of superhero that's got a black cape and got like Batman sort of characteristics, you're probably going to get something that's pretty close or resemblant of Batman. It's a bit like someone telling you a secret. Even though you're not going to say it out loud, you can still drop the little hints and you can reference it indirectly. Compared to someone who's never been told a secret at all, there's nothing to leak. So even if Sora says we're not going to let anyone use any of the copyrights, it still has a greater understanding of what a superhero might look like due to it being trained on all these different IPs, even though it's not letting you actually create the intellectual property itself. Therefore, it's getting a better understanding of the world around it and a better understanding of, superheroes tend to have capes, tend to have broad shoulders and shiny armor. But some people say it's fake and it won't gain popularity. And why would people want to believe stuff that's sort of fake? So is half the stuff on the internet. So is getting that perfect correct angle to take your selfies or get the gym pic in, The perfectly crafted McDonald's ads you see. Your Big Mac that you buy into the store does not look like the Big Mac you see on the big billboard. The AI tools just happen to take much less time, energy, and money to create, making it far more accessible for a broader range of people to create little skits and memes and entertaining videos. Yes, 100%. Yes, the next thing is we'll have to find a way to verify whether these videos are real or not. As we've already seen a bunch of different deep fakes of popular and powerful figures doing things that they would never do. And for so long, video was our verification method of whether something was real or fake. You could just get your phone out and record it and say, well, I caught that on video, that makes it real and verifiable. But now we're not going to have that option because all the videos we'll see will be fake. And I'm not saying that we weren't able to create fake videos before or fake advertisements, because we've always had Photoshop. We've always had tools that enabled us to craft and create realistic worlds. But now we've got tools that anyone can do it at lightning speed. And that's what's going to make it hard to distinguish, because you're going to have such a high population of these fake videos that look so real that you're going to start questioning it. This is where I think the blockchain could come in. Gary Vee talks about this, having a decentralized server that's not owned by any state or country, but allows you to have a simple upload to say, this video I'm creating now was actually made by me, and not by someone else. But that's a video for another day and something we can dive into deeper at a later date. So as you may have heard already, Sam Altman is looking for ways to monetize Sora 2's platform as well as ChatGPT. I mean, this is bound to happen, and I believe that paid ads will be like the way forward for ChatGPT. I can see that coming in the near future. So for all you marketers out there, Google ads will be something of the past, if not already outdated. But for the Sora app and video generation, OpenAI are trying to find ways in which they can get revenue shares with the copyright owners of the IP, meaning that users that want to create characters using a company's IP, there'll be some sort of revenue share between OpenAI and the company, etc. So you type in a prompt using a licensed character, and behind the scenes, there's a little royalty fee going to these companies. Suddenly, you can see how this works as a marketing ploy. Users could generate funny little gimmick videos, thus generating UGC, user-generated content. So, for example, if a new Batman film drops, users could go into Sora, start typing prompts such as Batman skateboarding down the street and waving to people, or Batman just chilling at the beach having ice cream, or Batman stealing cereals from a local supermarket. We've already seen characters and mascots rise in social media recently, with the rise of these AI-created characters such as Bigfoot vlogs, Rasta Monkey, and of course AI influencers. People have been building these entirely synthetic personas that live online. They're not Marvel, they're not owned by a big studio, but they are IP. They have a look, a personality, and a little universe around them. And now in Sora, anyone can drop these characters into these scenarios. Therefore, you get a bunch of UGC created for you. If you have a business, I can honestly see a path where getting yourself a mascot or a character will be a real advantage to you. This could be a character that audiences can use online and appear in skits and memes and generate a bunch of different user-generated content to push your brand. Because I think that the characters are put into these stories and into these comical situations. Let's say you could have someone just literally talking to Darth Vader in a living room. Someone reviewing Oppenheimer with Barbie sat next to you, or something like that. Something fun and entertaining. Because fun and entertaining is going to win over just your little logo in the corner. With that said, not everyone's going to be comfortable with this, people using their IP. I can see two different sides of it, who are probably more protective over their IP, such as characters like Mandalorian, The Incredibles, Nemo, Shrek, because these characters are the actual driving forces of their business. They drive merch, ticket sales, toy lines, theme park rides. And if you let the internet do whatever you want with them, you're at risk of having off-brand content, disrupting storylines, or entire TikTok trends or Sora trends that distort what that character is meant to be for children and families. For instance, what happened with Shrek prior. But think of that 10 times worse on steroids. Off-brand content, inappropriate scenes. So if the narrative around a certain character changes around a silly video, parents might get put off of that. Kids might lose that sort of magic, and suddenly the whole IP feels tainted. So the guys from VP Land dive deep into this, and I have to agree with what they say, because I expect that the film and TV side of things will be much more conservative about opening their IP to Sora style generations. On the other side, you've got brand characters like Tony the Tiger, Kellogg's, Rice Krispies. For them, this starts to look like UGC, free advertisement and marketing. Picture it like this. Tony Tiger could be stealing maybe a box of cereal like Batman did before, or just doing something silly in the street. Maybe being chased by police down the street in a Sora-generated video. The Rice Krispies gang could be creating ASMR, snap, crackle, and pop stuff. Just silly little moments and things like that people could share and interact with. Stuff that you probably wouldn't have been able to do so easily in a real-life setup, whether that be a budget constraint or whatever. So I think you'll see a much more open attitude to smaller brands. I'm not saying Kellogg's is small, but even smaller than that, maybe even local businesses, they'd be much happier to be getting that free UGC through their IP and characters. So we've seen a similar shift with 11 Labs and IP. 11 Labs are an audio generation company, and recently popular voices like Michael Caine and Matthew McConaughey have been added to their library of voices that people can generate. So you can literally just type out your script, your text, and have Matthew McConaughey or Michael Caine's voice speaking that script out loud. Could we see the same for video generation and maybe actors in this sense, having their face, their body language, and maybe further down the line, their performance style under that same system? If you want a certain actor in your AI ad or in your film potentially. You pay a fee, the system checks the usage, and then the actor gets a fee. I mean, of course, actors will want to act, but they can't be in two places at the same time. This could be a very profitable avenue for them if they wanted to license out. They could do 3 Nespresso adverts while filming a feature film over here. We've already had a little preview of people licensing IP as well. If you look at Star Wars licensing their IP to Fortnite and having them doing crazy, funny little emote dances, those crossovers weren't random, and I'm sure they're very heavily controlled with a lot of back and forth between what Epic Games thought was acceptable and what Lucasfilm thought was acceptable. So it was under some sort of controlled environment where they both came to an agreement, making sure those funny little dances weren't a misrepresentation of the IP. Now imagine that not just for a handful of little funny emotes within a game, but millions of people generated on online platforms. I can see why studios would probably be a little bit nervous. But you can also see why smaller brands might say, yes, let's go for it, put me everywhere. In the sense of funny memes and skits and dances, I could 100% see stuff like having Darth Vader in your living room, having a weird, funny conversation, or having Sauron from Lord of the Rings dancing in your kitchen making a cup of tea. What about your favourite influencer reacting with you about your worst life choices or what you did on a night out? We've already seen people like Jake Paul and Gary Vee lean into the idea of sharing their likeness for anyone to use. They want their brands to be everywhere. They know the game is attention. For example, you've seen Gary Vee run away from a crowd of angry people in a funny manner. Stuff like that will get clicks, stuff like that will get attention. And I think soon you'll start seeing the average person start uploading clips of themselves on this social media, of them using IP or someone else's likeness for stuff like how I feel when my boss asks for a 5-minute job, or how I feel when the client says it's a 2-second job. I could start seeing where people put themselves in little funny situations, building their own little worlds and just having fun with it. So where does this leave us? I think there's a lot of grey or purple space. Nothing's ever red or blue, black or white. I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of creative potential to come from this. It's a very exciting time and it's moving very fast. There's always going to be 2 sides to every story. That won't ever go away. But it's something exciting in a business sense, in a creative sense, in a marketing sense. It's in a generative AI sense. And that's the stuff I enjoy doing. I want to know what you guys think. Where do you stand on this? Would you open up your IP and let people go wild with it? Or would you like to be a bit more conservative and reserved about it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I hope this gave you a little clearer picture and you found this video somewhat valuable. Please hit like and subscribe if you're a creative and you want to see a bit more on AI and business or design and marketing. If you know someone who needs to watch this video, please give it a share with them. I'm Raf. Thanks for hanging out and taking your time to watch this. I'll see you at the next one.